Alright, it's the Power Player, the original new edition. This is obviously a really cheap Chinese toy, the Power Player Super Joystick. Power Player, 76 classic games in one, fun for the whole family. But you can see on here it says Super Joy 3. And when I saw that, for some reason that name sounded familiar. Now the Super Joy is actually a common Famiclone. Now this doesn't look like a Famiclone to me at first glance. It looks like a plug and play with 76 games built in. In fact, on the back of the box, which is upside down for some reason, it simply says Super Joystick and Power Gun. Once again, the original new edition, if that makes any sense. Made in China, batteries required, blah blah blah. And yeah, we can see 3 controllers, one that is obviously a clone of a N64 controller, one which is a clone of a Genesis 6-button controller, I guess. Kind of a combination of a 3-button controller and a 6-button controller. And a little light gun. Okay, so in here we have an instruction manual of types. Now, it doesn't show in the pictures, but it does mention here, when using a cartridge, face the label forwards and press it full into the slot. Now, once again, they don't mention what type of cartridge, and they don't show it in the picture. It looks like it could have came with a power adapter, but I didn't get the power adapter with it, so. Now here's the main controller itself, which is actually the console. This is actually the processor and everything's in here. So the AV outs, as you can see, the AV outs are right there on the controller, as is the second controller port, which can be used for the other controller or the gun. The power on-off switch and the power jack itself is there. This kind of goes in where an N64 memory card would go on an N64 controller. And this takes the batteries, and it's really sticky. It looks like there's crap on it. The contacts there look like they're a little bit corroded. So it looks like it takes 4 AA batteries. Like I said, there's a lot of corrosion in there. It definitely looks like something leaked in there. Some of the batteries leaked. So we'll have to clean that up. Now they have this joystick on here. The joystick's actually fake. It doesn't even move. So you basically have a D-pad, a restart button, start, select, and B and A. Once again, B and A. Could it be a Famiclone? And of course, looking at the back, we have what looks like a 60-pin connector. I've got a couple Famicom games here. Super Mario Brothers, just to test and see how that fits. And it looks like that will fit. So we'll have to try that when we get it going. Obviously we have generic mono AV cable there. Now the second controller, like I said, clone of a Genesis controller. Nothing on the back of it. Got A, B, and C, just like a Genesis controller. Then A, B, and C repeated. Are these turbos? Who knows? Why does it even have a C button? Who knows? And a little light gun. Nice trigger action on that, actually. Nice and clicky. Yeah, very simple little light gun. Assuming that would work with Duck Hunt. But yeah, let's clean the batteries out. Or clean the battery compartment up. Maybe the contacts in there will need some cleaning as well. And then give it a test. And as we can see, the contacts now are clean. So we'll pop pop that back on. Like so. And then that goes in the controller. Like so. Like I said, it's just like the memory card on the N64. So let me grab some AV cables and hook it up to the TV. Okay, so I've got the AV cables hooked up. Let's turn this thing on. And there we go. It seems to be working. So let's take a look at this, shall we? Alright, so here we are in the screen capture. As we can see, turning this thing on without a game in it brings up a menu. There's supposedly like 70 some odd games in here, so it said. And so far, going through the list, it looks like they may not be lying. There's actually a lot of games in here. Some of them definitely familiar names. Actually, a lot of them are familiar names. Some of them are pirated games, or, you know, hacks. But there's actually a lot of good games on this one, surprisingly. It's better than most of those pirate carts, you know, those 2001 pirate carts that you find. So we'll start with number 1 on the list, which is actually Contra. Now here we can see some hacks. I'm just going to pick straight up Contra. And there we go. It actually is working fine. The volume's incredibly low. In fact, it's so low you probably won't even be able to hear it. And the picture looks fine. I think when it's getting captured, it's showing up a little bit darker than the picture really is. The picture on it actually looks fine. The sound, you really have to crank the volume up on the TV to hear anything. But it seems to be working. Let's hit start and see how this controller works. Okay, my guy does not want to move to the right. In fact, he doesn't want to jump either. Okay, there we go. You got to press the jump button really hard. But he does not want to... Okay, there he goes. If I press down, he walks to the right while aiming down. Oh. You know what? If I press really, really hard on the right D-pad, he'll walk to the right. There's obviously something wrong with the controller. Let's just hit reset and try something else. Now, like I said, the start button on the N64 controller, what would be the start button on the N64 controller, is the reset button, and it brings the menu back up. And I have a tendency to want to hit start on the game and actually hitting reset. Now this one says Tekken. Obviously this is not Tekken or even homebrew of Tekken. This looks like an old kung fu fighting game that was probably just renamed Tekken. So yeah, let's hit reset again. Aladdin 3. I don't remember there being an Aladdin 2 on the NES. And once again, copyright 1995. Yeah, I'm not sure what this is. I'm not sure if this is a homebrew or a pirated game or if this is just a rename. I doubt this was actually Aladdin 3. I'm pretty sure this is just some sort of a rename on some game. Now, like I said, I can get the guy to move to the right. You got to press really, really hard on the controller. So the controller may just need a cleaning. Someone may have spelled pop on it or something and it got sticky inside the controller. Who knows? Super Mario Brothers on here, surprisingly, and they didn't misspell Mario. Most pirated versions of Super Mario Brothers, they misspell Mario to avoid any, I guess, serious copyright infringements. Because, you know, they're only borderline copyright infringements. Anyways, I'm going to turn the thing off here now. And we're going to try an actual Famicom game. So see if I can get Super Mario USA, or Super Mario 2 as we know it over here, the Famicom cartridge onto the bottom of this controller. And let's try it out. Oh, so as you can see, it kind of works, but it keeps getting glitchy. What's going on here? Well, the problem with this is when you're holding it, it's hard not to hit the cartridge. And just hitting the cartridge, as you can see, will cause it to reset or crash. So, yeah, not the greatest design, building the whole system, the cartridge slot, all onto the controller. But nonetheless, very unique, and definitely had to show you guys that, because it's pretty crazy the stuff they come out with. And the fact this thing was sold and advertised over here as the Super Joystick TV game thing, and really didn't say anywhere on the box that it was a Famiclone, that it could play Famicom cartridges. You know, they basically weren't even caring for the fact that this was on here. Where obviously in other regions where it was sold, they would have. But nonetheless, it works. There's a lot of games built into it, as we saw, and it plays Famicom cartridges all in one.